Terraria has over 6,000 items, but since people just kind of have their favorites, so many great ones just get completely left behind. So today, I'm going to look at some of the wildest, most obscure Terraria items that are actually great and try and shine some light on them. These are genuinely some of the most far out items I could find, and I will still be using every single one of them after recording this video. Anyways, let's begin with the first obscure item. Alright, for this first item, this is the one that I think is probably the most underrated of everything in this video, the Flask of Nanites. Now, I know right now, you're probably thinking, shut up, quit the yappin', just use Ichor, buddy. So if you don't know, the Flask of Nanites inflicts the confusion debuff for a few seconds. So if I hit these pixies right here with my melee weapon or a whip, it'll confuse them for 1 to 3 seconds. And you can see here that these guys, when I hit them, they're just like immobilized. They just run away forever and they won't ever try to attack me. Like you saw that was bullying. So what I'm thinking, since you can get nanites right after Plantera from the cyborg, hypothetically, with enough crowd control, you could disable every single event post Plantera, every single piece of crowd control other than the mini bosses, and they won't be able to attack you. Like, holy! I need to do some testing. This might be broken. Let's start with the solar eclipse. First thing I'm noticing is that some of the enemies are immune, which is kind of weird, but these guys, look at them. Dude, I'm sending them on lunch break. I'm sending them single file to the bathroom. It's like 2nd grade all over again. Okay, Creature of the Deep is immune, but if you have good crowd control, all these guys, the Frankensteins, the Psychos, they're all just gone. The Manflies, they normally have a projectile, but they just don't fire it when they're confused. Obviously, the vampires aren't immune, which makes them, like, not a problem at all. Okay, now I want to see about the post-Plantera dungeon. And yup. Oh my gosh. Bone Lees, too. Look at these guys. Normally, these guys, like, dogpile you. Now I'm forcing them to, like, perpetually run into walls. Alright, hold on. I need to dive a little deeper into what we just saw. That was a Bone Lee, the fastest enemy in the dungeon, almost 300 contact damage, and he lost all his aura in 1 frame by getting hit by any melee weapon with a Flask of Nanites. Now, right after this Bone Lee cookage, I did encounter a paladin and some wizard enemies. So right now I'm getting cooked. Right now it's not doing anything. But if it... literally all of these enemies just so happen to be immune to confusion. So there are scenarios where it's not going to shine beautifully, but generally, like, it'll work pretty well. I mean, look at this. You can't deny this is beautiful. And just to ice the cake even more, the Flask of Nanites puts on a stellar performance in the Jungle Temple. It can confuse giant tortoises, which are commonly known as, like, the most dangerous enemy in the game or whatever. And I'm sure there's plenty more applications in biomes and invasions, so yeah, this is a good item. With all that being said, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10, 7.5. It's a little situational, but when it works, it works. So absolutely use it. I highly recommend it. You're not going to regret it. Real quick, I want to remind you all that I'm trying to pass the other B-Cubed in subs, so if you enjoyed, drop a sub. Thank you very much. Let's see the next item. Alright, the next obscure item of today is the Shimmer Arrows. The gimmick of these things is literally just that the arrows fly upwards. But we can see here that the damage difference from wooden arrows goes from 5 to 12 after shimmering them. That is more than double the damage for a completely free 1-to-1 conversion that's locked behind literally nothing. It's just free. Also, one thing I forgot to mention is the actual DPS of the Shimmer Arrows on their own is higher than the DPS you get from Frostburn and Flaming Arrows with their debuffs. So the Shimmer Arrows' only competition pre-boss is Unholy Arrows. But with how much easier these are to get, like, that's not even a thought in my mind of an issue. The only problem is, like, are they hard to aim? So let's try this on Eye of Cthulhu. Yeah, since he's up in the air, there's no issues with aiming it to go up, because, like, the boss is up. Yeah, that's just better. That's just, like, undeniably better. I'm gonna die. But that was peak. And oh no, they go up. That's not even a downside. This is peak. I do want to see with, like, caves how they work. Like, is it difficult to aim at enemies in caves? Okay, there's some jellyfish over here. These guys... Oh, that's a bomb. I mean, like... Yeah, let's be honest. First of all, wooden arrows would not be doing that much damage. And second of all, nothing about this is hard to aim after, like, 2 minutes of practice. So with all that being said, I'm gonna give this, like, a 9.5 out of 10 on the you should use this scale. It's a free upgrade with no drawbacks, so honestly use them just like any chance you get. Anyway, next item. Alright, so next up, I want to talk about specifically Spelunker flares. You can buy these from the skeleton merchant if you have a flare gun in your inventory, or you can craft them with Spelunker glow sticks. Spelunker flares, after you shoot them, will light up all sorts of ores and like treasures throughout caves with this little sparkle effect, so you know where they are, but not what they are. But I feel like most people are gonna see this and think like, what the heck, like these can't be that good. Let me cook. So generally when you're in a cave, the thing that you're looking for the most is more caves, right? That's where the chests and the life crystals and like all the goodies and treasure and everything are, right? So I think the Spelunker flares are actually good for that, not for finding ores. And that is solely because the Spelunker flares light up pots. They light up pots, they light up paintings, and even like little blink roots in the caves. So when you shoot a flare, it will light up those pots and flowers and stuff. And you can dig to that. Like if you see a small little sparkle, you can dig to that and it'll show you where a new cave is. And you can basically just keep chaining this every time you hit a dead end and, you know, occasionally shoot a flare out, see where the next cave is. It works in just about any biome that you would want to cave in. I think it works the best in regular caves though, because those are the ones that feel the least cavey. So you would need the Spelunker tech the most. Obviously, if you do have Spelunker potions themselves, that would just be significantly better. But since you can get like a much larger stock of these and use them for a much longer period of time, I'm going to give this a good solid like 6 out of 10. I think you should use it. It's something that I will definitely be using from this point on. And yeah. This track is so cool. Oh, sorry. Next item. Alright, moving on to the final item of the day. It's gonna be the Stink Potion. This is a previously pretty useless item, and it's made from stinkfish. So what's going on? Why is this good now? Well, let me set the stage. So imagine little old you. Sorry I keep making you a baby. Imagine you're going for one of those juicy blood moon weapons. You're getting a sanguine staff, or a banana ring, or a vampire frog staff. But you just cannot get a blood moon to spawn. Luck is not on your side. What if I told you that there's a method to guarantee blood moon spawns, and the Stink Potion can help? This sounds so stupid. As of the 1.4.5 update, Stink Potions now decrease your luck, which sounds kind of terrible, and it kind of is, but it does increase the spawn rates of grooms and brides in graveyard biomes, which Grooms and Brides just so happen to drop Bloody Tears, the item that forcefully spawns a blood moon. Yep, I know. And along with that, it also increases the drop rates of the Bloody Tears from the Grooms and Brides. So by using luck decreasing items like the Stink Potion, the most effective way to get Bloody Tears is outside of a blood moon. That is actually kind of crazy. In about 8 minutes of farming for these guys in a graveyard biome, I got 3 brides to spawn, which basically means that within like 15 minutes or so, you should be very likely to get a Bloody Tear to drop, considering the drop rates are better than 1 in 5, so that's pretty good. One last thing I want to mention is that if you stand on poop blocks, you get the stink effect too, if you're a freak. But it only lasts for 2 seconds, whereas Stink Potions last for 30. So anyways, oh my goodness, bad luck does that too. Anyways, with that being said, I think I'm going to give the Stink Potions and the Stink Effect a good like 5 out of 10. It's a pretty niche use case, but if you are in that situation, like, it's pretty good. I'm a fan. And yeah. And that is going to do it for today. If you enjoyed, drop a sub, drop a like, drop a comment. Huge thanks to my channel members on the left. And if you enjoyed this video, you're probably going to enjoy one of the other ones on screen. So check those out. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.